Hi, what's going on? I did actually record this video once the other day, but I felt like it's just okay. So I got some feedback, right? And it was a little bit of a messy video. I also thought that it was a little bit of a messy video, so I'm gonna re-record it. If you want to watch the original video, it's down in the description. But more or less, today I'm gonna talk about why long distance relationships do actually work and why I believe that they are just as good and in some cases actually better than a regular type relationship. This is going to sound very strange because it kind of is, and I think it for most people it's probably going to be a pretty nonsensical opinion to have. And I get that. I think that it is kind of a little bit nonsensical in some ways, and I don't really base it upon facts in any way. I just think it's just the opinion I've formed. Before we get into me explaining anything, well, first of all, I'm gonna name some of these ducks. This is a Placid Plastic Duck Simulator, by the way, which my girlfriend bought for me. I'm not gonna explain why, but it is very important for me to mention this. There we go. I've named the ducks. We got Sans over there. Before we get into anything, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about why I think I am qualified to make this video. I've actually been thinking about making this video for a long time, more than a year, but I'm gonna speak a little bit about where I come from when it comes to like long-term or long-distance relationships and why I've formed the opinion I have. So, about me. I've been in a long distance relationship for close to 1.5 years, almost. It's like 1 year and 3 months, maybe 4 months. I don't know. And my girlfriend, her name's Becky. She is an amazing person who lives in the United Kingdom, and I don't. Hence why it's a long distance relationship. I live in Sweden. So it's not like an insane amount of distance, but it's like enough to the point where it's like it's not easy for us to meet all the time. We'd be lucky to meet a few times a year. This year we've actually only met once, which started. The meetup started last year. It started right before New Year's, and we spent New Year's together, and an entire month the next month, which it wasn't actually supposed to be a whole month, but I ended up missing a flight, so I stayed there an extra week. And that was a little bit of a hassle considering I didn't really have a lot of money to like navigate that whole situation, but we made the best of it, and it ended up being we ended up being very grateful for spending that extra time together. But we actually met on a dating app, which it's like an off-brand kind of dating app called You're My Type. And we met on there. We started texting, and then just realized that we click very well together and have a lot of stuff to talk about. And that's one of the most important parts in a long distance relationship, just being able to talk to each other, and it's part of why I hold the opinion I do. But yeah, we're very happy with each other. We obviously long distance, it comes with its issues and whatnot, but it's completely worth it in every single way. So what is it like being in a long distance relationship? So I was reading a little bit online, and something I found, someone put it in a very good way, even though I don't entirely agree with this. It kind of sums it up in a way that is pretty understandable. So being in a long term, why do I keep saying long term? Being in a long distance relationship is like being in a committed relationship without the benefits of being in a relationship. And this is true to a certain extent. So when you're in a physical and real life relationship, you have the benefits of being able to go and do stuff with each other, like go outside. You can go have dinner, you can go to an amusement park, go to the cinema, or go on walks and whatnot. That you have a lot of choice of activities to do. just like you would have with a friend. It makes the quality of the relationship quite an amount higher. So this is something that me and Becky like really miss out on. Like we don't get to go on like real dates and whatnot. We just, what we need to do is like we play games together, we watch movies together, and talk about things. Like a lot of the relationship is just talking and talking and talking, because that is essentially what you really have. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, you can view it as a bad thing. Like obviously if you're in a long distance relationship, you will be missing out. This is where I come to the point of saying that I can't really recommend being in a long distance relationship. I wouldn't recommend it. Like I don't recommend it in the way where I wouldn't seek it. Like I see absolutely no reason to why you would seek out a long distance relationship. Where I can say that it does work is if you are just a person who happens to be online and you just stumble across someone, which is essentially what happened to me. It sounds kind of off that I say that, considering that I was on a dating app. But I wasn't on this dating app, like seriously. I was just fooling around. I was just looking for people to talk to, more or less. And I just happened to stumble across my girlfriend, and it blossomed into this wonderful thing that we have. So I've spoken a lot about like negatives now, but one of the absolutely wonderful things about being in long distance is that feeling when you get to meet up. Like, oh dude, there's not much that actually tops that feeling. Like if you've not experienced it, like I don't think there's much like it. When you've been apart for a really long time and you get to meet up for the first time, or meet up again and get to do all these things together. Like it's, oh man, because lacking that physical touch in a long distance relationship, it kind of, it screws with your feelings a little bit. I'm not saying I don't have feelings for my girlfriend, but like it does screw with your feelings in a long distance relationship. Unless you're like someone who doesn't really crave physical touch. But I do. I really do. Like being together in real life, it feels like falling in love all over again. It's absolutely amazing. But yeah, it's kind of like having that non-physical touch. It's like it's really rough when you have like arguments and whatnot. Like if you're just having an argument about some silly thing and you can't like be there and not being able to read each other's body language in those moments it's rough. There's a big reason why I am naming all of these negatives, by the way. I'm trying not to like jump to it immediately, but it's very important that I name all of these negatives because they end up being a positive. We've kind of gone over like that communication is the only thing you have. You can't read each other's body language. You can't have your physical touch with each other. It's terrible, absolutely terrible. And you can't go do all these things, and that means that communication is the only thing you have, which is absolutely amazing. Let me explain why this is so positive. Okay, when you're in a regular, like in real life relationship, I think this is not based on anything, this is just opinion. I think that it is probably a lot easier to end up staying with the wrong person because you have all of the comforts of being in a committed relationship. You can go on dates, you can have this physical touch, you can cuddle, you can do all of these things. And like, if the communication is lacking, you can just do all those things and be like, oh, but it's fine. Like I've seen this in my personal life happen like many times, where someone will be in the wrong relationship and just be like, oh, but like I'm scared of like not being alone and not having these things, and it's scary, which that's completely valid. I'm not saying these people are dumb or anything. I think it's a completely reasonable thing, considering we're human and we have this desire to connect. So I think this is very reasonable, but it's something that I see happening time and time again. And when you're in a relationship where communication is the only thing you have, it's going to be very hard to stay with that person if the communication and the chemistry doesn't really work. Like, you're going to end up leaving that person or being left and then finding the person that ends up being more right for you. And I think that's a good thing, because it makes you not like rely on the comforts too much. So like I feel really confident in the fact that like Becky is the right person for me, like extremely confident, because like we have an amazing communication. Like, it's so incredibly smooth. Like, obviously we have our like rough points and whatnot, but like the point is that we navigate it extremely well. And like not everyone has that. I was just talking to you see, I was just talking to, or it was a while ago now, it was a month ago, but I was getting my hair cut and I was talking to the hairdresser who cut my hair, and she was talking about like how the communication in her relationship doesn't really, it's like kind of like they're not the best at communicating. And I think that everyone can find the person that the communication works for them, if that makes sense. And it's just a lot easier to navigate that once, like if you're in a long distance relationship. So I think that's absolutely amazing. Some misconceptions, right? And this is important for me to bring up as well, that there are a couple misconceptions with long distance relationships. One of them being that like long distance relationships aren't real, which I don't really know where that comes from. Like, I guess it's like the same thing where like, oh, you have, it's like being in a relationship without having the benefits of it. So like, therefore it's not real. But the commitment is real. So, you know, I don't really understand that. I've never really understood. This is something I've seen time and time again happen, where like, this is something that happens with like online friendships too. Like, oh, online friends aren't real friends. What's up with that? Like, what makes it so that the online connections you form aren't real ones? Like, I don't really understand that. If someone has an explanation, I'm happy to hear it. But I personally, I have no idea why this is a thing. I guess it's just like people are kind of in denial about it and aren't educated or whatnot. I don't know. But they're just as real. These connections, like long distance relationships, online friendships, everything, they're just as real friendships are, or like IRL friendships. They're both real friendships, but yeah, just as real, just as amazing. It just requires a different type of commitment, and it requires you to like to stay connected in a different way, for sure. The other one is that, and this is going to be like a major point to talk about, but if I've not brought it up already, but a common misconception is that long distance relationships don't last. And you see, this is true in a certain way. I think that generally, I haven't looked at statistics. I've just looked at like, from what I've observed with my own eyes. What I've seen is that generally they don't last, but it's not because they are long distance relationships. Let me explain why. The reason they don't last is because what I was talking about earlier, this is why I think, at least, I think they don't last because you end up being with the wrong person, or you're not ready for a relationship. And the long distance kind of really shoves that in your face. So it's not the fact that it doesn't last because you're in long distance. The reason it doesn't work is because you just find out way sooner that it's not the right person for you, or you're just not meant to be in a relationship yet. That's what I think is the issue. So, you know, could long distance relationships be better than IRL relationships for finding the right person? Look, logically, I don't think that one is better than the other. I think if you're going to look at it in the positive light, I think that if you're actually like committed to what you have, I think that being in a long distance relationship will filter out what you don't need, because you can't rely on the comforts. And I think that's a really good thing, like really good. I don't know if I'm repeating myself, whatever. But I think that just because of that, I have a bias towards it. I think it's very good. You get to work on communication so much, and you get to really get to know what each other's needs are in the communication department, which is so important. I think it's absolutely amazing. And I think there is, I'm gonna give some credit to my friend Iron, because he texted me after the first initial video and made a lot of comparison to like online friendships, which is why I brought it up in the first place. But it's the same thing here. Like, I think in real life, it's easy to just hang around people who you don't really have anything in common with, but you just hang around them to have someone to hang around with, because human connection, you know. But it's kind of, in my experience at least, it's hard to do that online. My best friends that I have ever found are online friends that I ended up moving to their city so I could hang out with them, because they're such good friends. Like, you know, it's the same thing there. You end up finding people who you can truly connect with, where the communication is something that truly works. And I think it's a great thing. I don't think that it's better or worse than finding IRL friendships, but there are a lot of benefits to like being chronically online, if you're going to put it like that. A lot of benefits to it. You end up finding people who have similar interests easier, and you really train that part of your brain that needs to commit, and you create something beautiful from that, I think. So yeah, I don't think that long distance relationships are necessarily better, but it is, like, I think they're just as good as regular relationship. But it's up to finding the right person. And when you're in long distance, you will know if it's the right person. Like, you will know. There will be a lot of struggle. There will be a lot of battle with your mind at times. But if you found the right person, like, it'll work out. Like, and it will just, I reckon it will go smoothly in real life. That's what I think anyway. Yeah, that's pretty much everything for this video. If you have any thoughts or experiences, then let me know. And obviously, if you have any ideas for any topics that I could talk about, then feel free to comment them or join that Discord server that I made like eons ago that I don't really use, but I'll start using it if other people want to. I'll see you in the next one. I hope the video was helpful in some kind of way. I don't know if it was, but bye-bye.